Thank you, Milton Wilson. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you all know the rules of information, please. I will read several questions submitted by our listeners. And for each question which is not answered by our board of experts, we will give away a page from the Encyclopedia Britannica and one grape nut flake. Are the grape nut flakes here, Mr. Wilson?
Yes, sir. The register's loaded.
Good. Now, I'd like to have you meet our board of experts. First, Mr. Oscar Levant, noted pianist. Or pianist. Which is it, Oscar? Pianist or pianist?
What's the difference? After tonight, I may be washed up.
I gotta watch this guy. He's dynamite. Huh? And next, Miss Mary Livingston, well-known authority on poetry. Have you a sample for us, Miss Livingston?
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Shining up above so high, don't you know there's a dim out?
Very, very good. And now, Mr. Abe Lyman, noted authority on Shakespeare and literary light.
There's a dim out there, too.
You said it. Mr. Dennis Day, world-famous authority on...
On what?
And last but not least... Sit down, Dennis. Sit down. Mr. Joe Besser, authority on archaeology, ichthyology, and paleontology.
Well, get him!
And now, folks, we will proceed...
You old crazy, you!
Mr. Besser. We will proceed with information, please. Our first question comes from Miss Bernice Butterball of Baked Potato, Idaho. Miss Butterball wants to know if you can name 3 presidents of the United States whose names begin with W. Well, I see you have your hand raised, Mr. Day.
That's nerves. It just blew up.
Well, don't you know a president whose name begins with W?
Will you give me a hint?
Yes. So who was the Washington Monument named after?
George Monument.
That's right, George Monument, Washington. And now let's have another president beginning with W.
Wendell Willkie.
Willkie didn't win, Mr. Levant.
Well, he's working, that I know.
I gotta watch that boy. He's making a straight man out of me. And now, second, a president whose name begins with W. I'm waiting. Ah, Mr. Besser, I see you have your hand up.
Oh, it's not for that.
Well, it looks like Miss Butterball has stumped the experts. So we are sending her immediately a page from the Encyclopedia Britannica and a grape nut flake. Now, here's a letter. Here's a letter from Dr. Bert Scott of Beverly Hills, California. Dr. Scott is a dentist, and he says, Dear Mr. Benny, I have written, and if you don't remit promptly, I will... Whoops. How did that get? Oh, here's a question from Mr. Joe Jackson of Jackson, Georgia. Mr. Jackson wants to know what the following girls have in common. Joan Crawford, Joan Leslie, Joan Bennett, Joan Fontaine...
Oh, shut up! Not so fast!
Oh, pardon me. You should know this, Miss Livingston. What have the following movie stars in common? Joan Crawford, Joan Leslie, Joan Bennett, and Joan Fontaine.
None of them will work with you.
That's so. Well, thanks to your levity, Miss Livingstone, we have lost another page from the Encyclopedia and a grape nut flake. Now, here's a question in your field, Mr. Levant. Incidentally, you haven't gotten anything tonight.
You're referring to money, of course.
I'm referring to answers. Now, I'm going to play a musical selection, and I want you to identify the number. Just a second.
Not so loud!
Mr. Besser, please. Now, I'll play it again. I'll play it again, Mr. Levant, and see if you can identify it. Now, what's the name of that number?
Its name is Mud. It used to be Souvenir.
It's still Souvenir. Now, I'll give you one more chance to
Oh, boss!
Boss,
Fine. What do you want, Rochester?
look what time it is. You got to get over to that concert.
That's right. It's getting late. Did you bring my blue serge suit?
Here it is.
Wait a minute. That's my green suit.
It was blue when you bought it.
Well, it's too late to change it now. Come on, Oscar. Let's walk over to Carnegie Hall.
Yep, the last mile.
Oh, don't be so pessimistic. Play, Lyman. Come on.